Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. In this episode, we are going to be talking about Window Seat, a film that has been written, directed, edited, photographed by Bharathraj, and I suspect that the story is also his because this is the story of a filmmaker, a very intense indie type filmmaker, and I think he's going to say a lot of this belongs to his own life. So the film opens with the sound of the sea, right? It's totally calm. We open with a still image. It's a long shot and the shot doesn't move at all. So the film opens and in the far distance, we see this guy who's kind of in a rage. He's trying to break something. I'm like, what is he trying to break? Is he trying to break something from the van that's near him? But it turns out it's something else. And I'm not going to tell you what he's trying to break because that kind of loops back beautifully in a later part of the movie. I mean, this item, the scene at the beginning, how it comes back, that's a very beautiful echo moment. And it will also count as a bit of a spoiler if I tell you what that is. Okay, anyway, let's talk about this man. His name is Lucky. He's a filmmaker. No. He's a real filmmaker, a true filmmaker. You know, one of those people who says, films are an extension of my soul and things like that. Actually, this line does not appear in the movie, but you can kind of sense it because there is one part early on where we see that this man, this Lucky guy, he embarked on a 4,600-kilometer trek to the Himalayas to write a story about a Buddhist monk who did pretty much the same thing. So he's like, I need to feel this journey. I need to kind of do the exact same thing as someone else. Like a friend rightly asks, if you're going to write a story about a murderer, are you going to kill someone? That moment actually comes back in this movie at a later point in a way you don't expect. கதை சொன்னா அது உண்மையா சொல்லணும். That's the philosophy. I'm not sure those are the exact words, but that's the general philosophy of this filmmaker, Lucky. Now, the film is divided into chapters, but more specifically, I found it's divided into the characters that Lucky runs into along his journey of finding his film and I think also finding himself. So what he does along the way, all these people that he meets, he collects bits and pieces of what he talks with them, what happens to them and puts them into a story. And he's also a vlogger, a video blogger. He kind of keeps taping and recording things that are happening around him and how all this comes back, that's again part of the story. Now this is the film filled with the oddest of metaphors and I think one of my favorite ones is the fact that Lucky travels in a refashioned mortuary van. It's almost like he's trying to birth a screenplay and there is this vehicle of death that he's doing it in. I know I found it very fascinating because it's like this very Bergmanian thing happening out there. But in other ways, there is a very Tamil cinema thing happening out there in the sense that Lucky believes that good cinema can change society, which of course a lot of people believe. I personally do not subscribe to that theory at all. But yeah, it's interesting, it's out there and I think it's something the film does a lot. It makes you think about a lot of things outside of this film because this is a film about a filmmaker. So you're thinking directly about the film as you're watching it, but you're also thinking of things on the side, what are happening. Like for example, can a good film really change society? Now I can't say Window Seat worked for me 100% because there are ups and downs. I think the biggest problem for me was the dialogues. They are far too direct, far too wordy, far too explanatory for a film that tries to be so dreamy and poetic and philosophical. But flaws and all, Window Seat is another fascinating entry in the recent glut of Tamil indie films. What I liked about it is it makes filmmaking a kind of search, which any art is, right? Because, you find your way through your thicket of ideas and, you have to chop down all the dead wood and kind of create a path for yourself. But what I'm saying is there is we live in a very mainstream kind of society and all our films, most of our films are basically, calculated along the lines of, oh, will the audience laugh at this point or will they cry at this point or will this joke make them laugh? Or there's a very audience kind of calculation going on in their head. And what does a filmmaker do if he doesn't want to make that movie, right? Window Seat takes you into the mind of such a movie maker who searches for the sound of the perfect sound of a mountain peacock, a filmmaker who searches for the greatest tasting water in the world. So the fact that this film, Window Seat, shows filmmaking as a kind of search, both internal and external, is probably the best thing about the film. So that's it about Window Seat. If you like this video, do subscribe to Film Companion South and see you soon at the movies.